The importance of celebrating leaders who have made an impact in the country one way or another can not be overstated. My guest on the show today is doing exactly that by making a documentary about the life of Ado Bayero, a former Emir of Kano State, who happens to be her father. Joining me on the show today to discuss her work, My Father the Emir. The portrait of Ado Bayero is Zainab Ado Bayero. Welcome to Arise 360, Zainab.
Thank you
nice
so
to
much.
meet you.
Pleasure
nice to meet you.
Thank you.
When I heard you were coming on the show, I was quite intrigued. I was like, I can't wait to ask you all the questions. So how are you? Tell me about yourself. Tell me about you.
Okay.
We know about your dad. Now tell me, who is Zainab?
Oh, wow. Okay. Zainab is a bit complex. I'm an introvert.
Okay.
I'm quite shy. I'm not too I'm not a social kind. I'm very into myself and very deep. I'm a deep thinker. I love to read. I love to watch movies. I love to reflect a lot. So I kind of, I'm artistic, you know, and I love fashion. I love adventure. So I guess those are my attributes, actually.
Nice. But why did you say complex? Can I ask?
Well, because I'm shy, but at the same time, I believe in standing up for myself.
Okay.
You know.
So it's too, like,
yeah, like
you're reserved, but you still have to do what you have to
like
do.
When
like being here right now,
like
which is
when
very
I have
brave.
to do it, I have to put myself out there.
Yeah,
yes,
very
I
important.
have to do that. But I'm really, really shy. But when it's time for me to like stand up for myself and be vocal and do what I believe in, yes, I do.
I love that. That's very good.
Thank you.
So, how was it growing up with your dad? How was it in Kano? You lived in Kano, obviously, before you moved to Lagos.
Yes.
How was that? What was your childhood like growing up with the Emir of Kano?
Yeah, that's why I sound very complex. My dad, you know, was a monarch in a very conservative society like Kano, you know, the spiritual, political leader for a great emirate in Kano. And at the same time, my mom wasn't from Kano. She was from Edo State, another kingdom, and from a royal home. So I was raised by my mom, but my dad, being the leader of Kano, you know, he had so much expectations of his kids, you know, and he was a strict father, you know, being an Islamic, you know, leader and stuff like that. So my mom raised me to be very independent, to be vocal, and at the same time modern, you know.
Okay.
And my dad really wanted like that strict Muslim girl. But my mom kind of said, okay, there has to be like, you know, she has to be a Muslim, but at the same time she has to be a bit modern to fit into the changing world. So, but being the daughter of a great king like him was really incredible because he was a very loved, you know, and respected monarch. So when I got to realize how much people respected and loved him, I was in awe myself because, you know, I just thought he was my dad. But I didn't know he was even like a father to so many people, millions of people, you know, who loved and also respected him. Like, oh, he's also our dad, he's our royal father, you know. So it was pretty remarkable.
Wow, that sounds remarkable. So he was the longest reigning monarchy in Kano. So how long was that reign for?
51 years.
51 years.
Yeah, half a century.
Half a century.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I'm sure you grew up differently to other kids around, the other children around. How was it like being? So would you call yourself a princess? Or how would that? I want to know how was it growing up with other children, knowing that you were the Emir's daughter?
Yeah, you know, it can be a blessing.
Okay.
But at the same time, it can be really difficult sometimes because when I was a kid, when I was in school in Kano, I went to school for a year in London before coming back to Kano. So I was speaking in kind of a British accent, I was kind of different. And the kids would be like, oh, she's the Emir's daughter. Like, oh, she's going to give us like attitude and stuff like that. But I wasn't really that girl, I was just normal. I was shy, but you hear snarky remarks sometimes like, oh, she feels she's a princess and she's all up on her face and all that. Even when you're not doing anything wrong, kids can be really like jealous sometimes. But so sometimes I would feel like, oh, I wish I could just like blend in
and be normal,
be normal sometimes. But later on, I made friends. I think they got used to it. She's just Zainab. But yeah, sometimes you hear that, oh, I do Bayero's daughter, stuff like that. But I learned to get used to it.
Okay, so you're obviously used to it now.
Yeah.
And you're used to the talks, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It comes with the territory.
I know, right? So can you tell us about the impact your dad made in the society?
Yeah, he was someone who was very, he was a progressive man, being a Muslim leader in Kano. He had to be the custodian of Islam, but at the same time, he learned to balance that because, Kano is a very metropolitan city with so many different tribes and races, So he always tried to be progressive in that respect, like different people are in Kano. He always tried to preach like acceptance of different religions, different people. So in that aspect, I think that's one of his greatest achievements of being someone who was a uniting force and a peacemaker in Nigeria. I mean, he had so many friends, from different parts of Nigeria and the world. He had Igbo friends from the East, he had Yoruba friends, different parts of Nigeria. He made friends, he made impacts in people's lives in different ways. And that's what a leader should be. And I don't think we get those kind of leaders anymore. He wasn't just someone who talked the talk. He walked the walk.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful. I really love that. So talking about leadership, I mean, now that you're a filmmaker, do you have any aspirations to go into politics and be a leader yourself?
Politics is so complicated, it's a game that you can't really, predict. And I'm someone who's very straightforward. I'm very blunt. But at the same time, I see what's going on in the world around me, in the society, and I wish I could make a change, Sometimes you feel like, maybe you should go out there and try to do something and not just sit behind it. So let's just let it be. This is how things are. No. I mean, if we go out there, we can make a change. I mean, I think of the civil rights movement, what sparked it. Rosa Parks just got up and said, I am not going to do that.
Exactly.
I'm going to take my seat today. And that's what, lit the fire for the civil rights movement and ended segregation. So I think that if I have the opportunity, why not? I would love to, make a change, make lives better in any way I can. If I could, if it's with politics, if with movies, fine. But I mean, that's who my father was. I would love to carry that torch to try and unite Nigerians to make things better in any way I can. Because I believe the diversity in Nigeria is not helping. It's about tribal differences, religious differences, and it shouldn't be like that. We're all Nigerians. We're beautiful country. I think the differences is what makes us amazing. You see the Yoruba man speaking the Yoruba language, you see the Igbos, the Hausas. So let's try and unite.
That's very good. I like that aspect. And I do hope you go into leadership one day so that you can continue the legacy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so now let's dive into this documentary, right? A documentary. Why not a movie? Let's start with that. Why did you decide to do a documentary? Because that could have easily been a smash movie. Tell me.
Yeah, right. A biopic, lots of biopics are out there about great figures, whether it's the monarchs, political figures. With a documentary, I figured it would detail more about him. You know, you get archival footages of him in his own words. You see him, you know, footages of him. You hear his voice in his own words, you know, speaking. So I really wanted people to feel him, not just someone playing him, you know. So that's why I decided, let me start with a documentary. And he loved documentaries.
Okay.
You know, I remember as a kid growing up, he would put the History Channel or Discovery. And back then, I wasn't really a fan of documentaries, which is crazy and ironic. But today, I'm beginning my career with a documentary about my dad. How, you know, that's really beautiful to think that my dad really encouraged me to love documentaries when I was a kid, even though I didn't know the beauty. But now, doing it, I see what he meant. I think in Nigeria, we should you know, to love documentaries a bit more. Yeah, I get movies, music, fashion. We have so much talent, but if we could go a little more into documentaries, it would be great too, because we have such beautiful cultures, you know, different aspects of Nigeria that we could showcase with documentaries, you know. Telling stories with documentaries is really incredible.
Very incredible. I love documentaries too. I'm a documentaries fan. But would you consider doing a movie someday?
Of course, I would love to do a feature film. Absolutely. I love movies. You know, movies are my first love. So I would love to direct a movie, you know, beautiful, like even a biopic or a fictional story that would really like inspire people. I love movies so much. You know, I've watched movies over the years. So many movies have transformed my life, you know, with the storylines. You know, a great movie can just move you to tears, make you feel ecstatic, get so much feelings. I mean, I think everyone knows the line from Casablanca. And, you know, iconic movies like that, The Godfather, you know, they're just timeless classics. So I would love to. I don't know if I could ever do a movie that's that great, but
why not?
I would love to produce and direct a movie that people come and see. Yeah.
So being obviously in the industry, what were some of the challenges you faced as a first-time filmmaker while you were making your documentary? And like, how long, what was the duration, the process, and like, tell us some things that happened during that whole journey.
Yeah, the journey started with me writing the script. I wrote it myself after researching. Yeah.
Okay.
And I had to decide how to write it, you know, what to write about him. And then, you know, that was like pre-production.
Okay.
Then the production phase was getting like a team that would work with me, you know, an editor, DOP. And then directing it myself was a great risk. You directed it yourself
too?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
wrote and directed it. That's brilliant.
Thank you so much. And so I had to decide how I wanted to shoot it, how I wanted the story to be told. It was more complicated than I thought, and it was a really daunting task. But at the end, you know, when it was over and I was done, I was like, whoa, it was a sigh of relief that, wow, I've done it, you know, I've created something that, you know, I'm part of this industry now, I guess, of, you know, movie making, the art of cinema. And I started with my dad's story, and that felt so powerful to me. You know, being a female from the North, a royal family from the North, this is historic.
Very.
It has never happened. You know, you don't get even royals, I don't know, in Nigeria going into filmmaking. You know?
That's true. That's actually true. So you're one of the first.
Exactly. And as a woman and as a Muslim from a very conservative society like Kano, like
that's actually my next question for you. As a young female Muslim,
exactly.
And, you know, it's already tough being a woman as in general.
Exactly.
Then being a Muslim and from the royal family, you're meant to be conservative.
I've got 3 strikes against me there.
Wait, you need to tell us about that. What do you mean strikes, and how does that happen?
You know, what I'm saying, you know, as you said, as women, we have to fight in the man's world. And, you know, most industries are male-dominated. And you have to fight your way in to prove yourself as a lady. Then as a Muslim, you know, as a Muslim girl coming from a society that's so conservative, you know, I'm going to be judged, definitely, and especially as a royal. This is not expected. And I don't know why. I don't know who wrote the rules. And I don't believe in those rules. I believe as a Muslim girl, I have a choice, to do anything, go into any industry. It doesn't matter, You don't need to be stifled by your religion. And for someone like me who doesn't really cover up or wear the hijab, that's definitely the North. They're not going to be very comfortable with that. But this is me. I don't want to pretend to be what I'm not. I'm a modern girl in a contemporary world. I'm a Muslim. I believe in Allah. I pray and all that. But at the same time, my ideology is very modern. I'm a feminist. I believe in equality of the sexes. I don't believe in being submissive. I don't believe in being, in the back seat, I would say. I believe in taking the reins, So this is not what's really expected of a Muslim girl from the North, from the royal home. And I know there are a lot of people against me for doing this, but I'm not doing anything wrong. I love my dad. It's a passion project. I want people to remember that my dad was here, that he had an incredible life, and his legacy is important for Nigerians, for Africans.
Yes.
We need to celebrate our heroes. I'm celebrating my dad, who is a personal hero to me, nice. But I think he was a hero in Nigeria too, because he was a political figure who got to experience Nigeria for 5 decades. He got to play a pivotal role in our country. But if someone out there believes that because I don't really cover up, I'm not that typical Muslim girl, then I'm sorry, but I'm not going to apologize. I'm unapologetic for who I am. But I know I'm doing what's right for my father. And I'm blazing a trail for other Muslim girls in the North. Whether they want to look up to me or not is their choice. But I believe with my choices that I can inspire a girl who wants to be different, who wants to break the mold and say, okay, if Zainab Bayero can do it, what's wrong with me doing it?
I can do it too.
Exactly.
That's a very, very, very good footstep to follow. But I want to find out. So when you go to Kano, do you still go back to Kano?
Yeah, I shot this in Kano actually.
Okay.
That was in 2022.
So these are real life footages of places that you actually went to. Yeah. Did you use your house as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my father, the family home, the palace, everything is featured
That's
in
wonderful.
this. Yeah.
I definitely have to see it. Okay, so when you go there, do you have to change, or you're still yourself, being in
Kano City?
In Kano, yes.
No, I don't change.
Okay.
I dress this way.
Okay.
But sometimes I do cover up when I'm in Kano.
Okay.
But no, I've never been that girl who wants to fit the mold. I march to the beat of my own drum.
Ooh.
And I know it rubs a lot of people bad ways sometimes, men who are in charge. When you're vocal, when you're out there, they feel threatened.
Of course.
Especially a patriarchal society.
Of course.
Like the Kano Emirate. A woman coming out this way is not really expected. It's kind of unconventional. Kind of get threatened by that, but I'm not a threat to anyone. If they want to feel threatened, then that's their business. But
wow.
This is me living my life.
And as you should, as you should. Okay, so right now, I want us to just take a look at the documentary so we can get a feel of what is really about. Okay. Let's take a look.
Ida Makama is now a national museum, a primary school, and serves as the official residence of the Makama. They were erected by King Ijimasu in 1095. counter coup of 1966 sent shockwaves amongst the Igbo officers and civilians who had not foreseen such an offensive and made them question their safety in the north.
Alhaji Dr. Ado Bayero I refer to as one of the most important living legends of this century.
Occupies this elevated and exalted position as the longest serving, Emir in the north.
Alhaji Ado Bayero, the Emir of Kano, is a special man. He is a man chosen by God.
Bravo! I have to clap.
Thank
that
you.
look stunning.
Thank you so much.
That I was feeling like shivers and stuff. The
Goosebumps.
effects was like boom, 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 boom.
Thank you.
Wait, I need to talk about the Emir's fashion though. Can we
You
just
noticed
talk
that,
about,
right?
Like,
He
can
was
we
a
just talk
fashion
about
icon,
that
honestly.
fashion?
He had
Like,
incredible taste in fashion. Like,
oh my God, that is spectacular. How did you feel seeing him dress up like all to the max
Yeah.
from head to toe?
In his
Everything-
regalia.
Yes, the
Yeah.
regalia is so,
Yeah.
and it was so regal and so elegant.
Absolutely,
How
just
did they-
like royal to the max. That's who he was, and his style was always very unique. And he was very debonair, dapper. I think you would notice even in his life, with his limousines and all that stuff. He was really out there, and he was always dressed to the nines. He always looked really rich and really amazing. Even when I would see him, I'd be like, wow. And he was a very handsome man also.
Oh, you
Yeah.
seem so proud of him.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, we're so proud of him too.
Yeah.
Like now, even now, are you still being, do people still do they still recognize and refer you as, the Emir's daughter?
I've always been very private.
Okay.
This is the first time that I've really ever been out there, promoting this documentary because I have no choice. I have to promote it. But I'm very, very intensely private, to tell you the truth. Like I told you, I'm shy. But with this project, I had to be out there to showcase and remind people that this great man once ruled, that there was a time that you had amazing men, men who had dignity, honor, who were honest, true leaders, and I want to take people back into that, with this documentary, of kind of a lost era. I don't know. Ever since his demise, I feel like there's a vacuum, like a void, You don't get men like this anymore. And I think that we should learn, like even the future generations, like kids today should learn about this man, who he was, what he represented, He's a great and dynamic man. And I think Nigerians should, get to see this.
We're definitely going to watch your documentary and we'll be learning more. Like you said, Nigerians should learn more about great dynamic men like your father. So that's Zainab, on my father, the Emir, a portrait of Ado Bayero.